this.
The weirdest thing about running a half marathon is that you spontaneously want to tell everyone that you have run a half marathon.
Yeah.
If only as an explanation of why you're walking downstairs backwards.
Are you legitimately like rappelling down staircases? Like you're
wish.
facing
No,
backwards
I'm like
and you're just kind of going down like
holding onto the rail and just
You
step
actually
by
are
step.
walking backwards like that?
Yes.
You're doing that today?
Yes.
I kind of need to see this.
I try to avoid doing it when people are around because it's kind of embarrassing.
That's pretty great. So it starts off with this. I did kind of skip. There's the prologue that talks about. I'm kind of cheating. This is before the profession of faith, but I think it's important. It talks about God infinitely perfect and blessed in himself and a plan of sheer goodness, freely created man to make him share in his own blessed life. So it's this idea that God is the initiator of all of this. You know?
Was it you who said, someone said to me that we are literally loved into existence? Was that you?
It was, I don't think it was me. I've heard that before.
But I think that's sort of an incredible idea, that we are loved into existence.
Mm.
Something that I carry with me.
Right. And it's love because it's not necessary, you know. God didn't have to do it by any means. He was completely free. There's nothing lacking in him that led to him doing that.
And it's essentially creative, which I think is really cool because when I think about like the conception of good and evil and God and the devil, I always think, God is essentially creative. He can make everything from what appears to be nothing. And the devil can't create anything. That's why sin it's not this completely new thing. It's a perversion of what God has created because he can't, the devil can't make anything. He's essentially destructive.
Yeah.
I think that's really cool as an artist to think about.
And true creativity, to a degree, involves creating from nothing, you know, versus, I guess when you draw the distinction between creating and making, it's like making, like we can make things as human beings, you know,
right.
Out of things that already exist, you know, and like you're saying, the devil makes destruction out of what exists, but not out of this gift of love, till gift.
Yeah.
And I think it actually has a lot back into it. It doesn't talk about this there in the prologue, but it's really against this conception of God that was pretty much the way of thinking about God before Judaism and Christianity. So this idea of an all-powerful God was new, and we kind of take that for granted now. There's much more of a view of God either creating from like extra, just kind of throwing together like that without intention, kind of thing. Yeah. Or a cosmic struggle between good God and bad God, and then like matter was hurled down and kind of created this.
That was kind of the idea before.
Yeah. So like the idea of one God and
monotheism is essentially new. There are a lot of polytheistic.
Yeah. And even among, Aristotle talking about prime mover, so the one who sets everything in motion, even there it's not as much, a religious monotheism as it is.
That's similar to deism, isn't it?
Yeah, it's more.
That's like what Ben Franklin and.
It's more of a theory of how things
began.
Yeah, which.
Right. Like a time, they describe him as a watchmaker or a timekeeper. He just sort of winds up the watch and then just steps back and let it.
And Aristotle wouldn't say that, but he did think there's a barrier in us having a relationship because of the infinite gap between ourselves and God.
Well, at Aristotle's time, that would have been right because he was living before becoming a Christ. Right. Christ is our mediator.
Yeah.
And our God.
Yeah. Even his divinity totally transcends us.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So that's kind of the tone that underlines this prologue about God creating in this, this this place of infinite and blessed perfection, just as this gift, and then it leads to the first part, which is man's capacity for God and our desire for God. So it's neat that that desire first comes from the gift that's already been given. It's not merely man has a desire for God that we just kind of manufactured ourselves,
Right.
And just because we're the most intelligent animal, we can just kind of think up complex ways that the world could be, and we want there to be something more, so we make up this thing.
That's
God.
Freudian.
Yeah.
That's Freud. He's messed up, yeah.
Yeah, like reaching the essential needs and the need for transcendence or something.
But that's
this is
something
written in the human heart.
essentially different about Catholicism is that it's not about transcendence, it's about restoration. Like the prodigal son narrative and those sorts of things, and the idea that essentially being human is a good thing, it's not a bad thing. And we have to become more human and not less human.
Yeah, we want to transcend. Almost like it. Transcend sin. That's how I messed up. We should make that a word. Just like transcend.
Transcend.
It's like you could go beyond sin.
I learned the word dialectic recently. I always do this hand motion with it because I love that word. Dialectic.
I don't know much about it. I've heard it.
It's the idea that Wallenfang talks about in his book, The Dialectical Anatomy of the Eucharist. Yeah, but it's this idea that there's two ideas that are constantly in conversation.
Yeah.
And so it's necessary for them to be.
That's the conversation back and forth.
Yeah, they kind of pass things between each other, and if this person drops the ball, then they're both out of luck. But those two ideas are constantly. It's like faith and reason. Faith and reason.
Yeah. How they support each other. Similar to our desire for God comes from God's desire for us. Right?
It's dialectic.
That's right.
I love that. I think it's such a wonderful word.
That is cool. It's a smart sounding word too.
I guess. Yeah.
So it talks about this desire that God creates us, and so this desire is from Him, and God never ceases to draw me into Himself. So we're talking about the idea of a creator that is constantly there, not a watchmaker, just winds and lets it go, not something that just material world just breaks off in some cosmic struggle between good and evil and exists. Matter is good, spirit is good. So our being matter and spirit as human beings, both things are good. And we're being constantly held into being in order to meet our final end.
So do you want to hear something cool?
I do.
Okay, so the word animate means to bring to life. And when you animate something that's being animated, it's essentially an image that's experiencing change. So we as people, we're constantly being animated because we exist within time and we're constantly experiencing change. So Thomas Merton talks about the contemplative life or the life of a contemplative as someone who is aware that they are constantly being changed. So they're aware of God's living, moving, breathing force within them, which is constantly changing them. Yeah. Which is so cool.
Yeah. That's the word for spirit. Anima.
Yeah. The Latin.
Yeah. So it's that our being has animation within it in itself. That motion back to God, which the Catechism talks about being a search for truth and happiness. The dignity of man rests above all on the fact that he is called to communion with God. This invitation to converse with God is addressed to man as soon as he comes into being. Yeah. It talks a little bit, and this could maybe be its own thing, but that because this desire, man in the past gives forth his own religious beliefs. Does that make sense? So there is a distinction between what we can know and what we can know about God through reason, and then what more we need via God through revelation. that we could have never arrived at through our own efforts, you know.
Yes, that's true.
Yeah. Just need to see that, yes, there, you know, the desire is not manufactured by us, right? But the desire does then lead us to say certain things about God. Makes sense?
I think so. I guess I'm thinking of it in the context of like, so the ancient Greeks, there would be a situation where they sort of manufactured their own religion. Does that make any sense? Like where they said, okay, this is, I'm not sure if this is exactly what they said. I'm not from Greece, I don't speak Greek.
It's all Greek to you.
It's none of it is Greek to me. But they looked at like the wind, or they looked at natural circumstances, and they said, okay, that's God. Whereas in the Bible and through the process of revelation, it's God saying, here I am.
Yeah, and some of those things we can know are not, you know, we can know or not honestly God through reason. But even St. Thomas Aquinas says there are things we can know about God through reason alone, but with only reason, we would arrive at them with much admixture of error, I think. Because think about it, you have your intelligence that takes in the sensory world, arrives at certain conclusions. I have mine. We have different capacities, and it's easy to misread certain things. It's, you know, you can't see wind, and we didn't used to have, you know, ways of measuring and understanding air and what's contained in air. It could be like this invisible force doing things. Is that God, you know?
Fair enough. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, Revelation removes human fallacy. Is that a true statement?
Revelation removes human fallacy. Yeah, we can be led to all the truths that we need to know.
Okay.
That God needs, that we need to know for our salvation and happiness through revelation.
Okay.
Yeah. Now, part of that is revelation purifying intellect. Is not revelation destroying reason. Some of our fulfillment involves our intelligence being purified. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And we can, the next section, so we start with this desire for God, and then it follows ways of coming to know God. So we have this desire. How do we come to know the truth that fulfills that desire? So we can make that in the next video, I think, because that alone is going to have a lot to say.
So how do you come to know something infinite?
Yeah. That is not readily accessible to your sense experience in itself.
That's true.
Yeah.
It's a question.
It is. We'll try and answer it.